This 2013 Mustang GT behind me has been 1040s at over 132 miles an hour. Now, the owner of this car is really focused on the 9-second range this season. Now, last week we helped him out by installing BMR's Ultimate Anti-Roll Bar, which is going to help this car 60 foot a lot better. Today we're going to focus more on that 60 foot by installing JMS's LaunchMAX. Now, here with Brad from JMS, and he's going to help us out with the LaunchMAX. Now, my understanding, this is a digital trans brake for the 6 already. Now, how's that work?
Yes, so it's a digital trans brake. Basically, it has no resistors or relays to fail. It's a 100% microprocessor controlled product. Plugs directly into the transmission and the transmission harness. Routes through an existing hole in the firewall. So the controller will be out of the elements, and it uses basically a push-to-talk FAA approved aircraft switch to activate and deactivate the trans brake kit.
So this is plug and play, no splicing, nothing to do with a tune. Doesn't matter what tune you have on the car, what setup you have in the car, this is going to work for it.
That's correct. No tuning required, simply plug and play, no splicing, simple, easy product to install.
Now, how does this work when it's on the car? Like, how do you operate it? You just hold the button down and floor it?
Yeah, basically you pull up to the tree, hold the brake, push the button, let off the brake, and basically locks the transmission into first gear and into reverse, and when you release the button, basically you launch.
And what RPM is it going to leave at? How is that determined?
Well, RPM is solely based on the converter.
Okay.
So you can use any type of aftermarket converter with it. It'll work with the stock converter.
So when you floor it, basically it's going to stall up where the converter is, and that's where it's going to leave at.
Exactly. It'll stall up to exactly where the converter is, and that's where you'll leave at.
Now, can that be used with a two-step?
It can be used with a two-step. There is an optional wire that basically comes with the unit, and you plug it straight into your two-step device, and they work in conjunction seamlessly.
Excellent. Let's get started with the install. Now, this is the harness for the LaunchMAX. The way this works is this is going to go in place of the harness we just removed, and that harness plugs into this. Now, I want to stress this. Make sure this is seated properly. This has to go in and twist, and this will lock it. Then again, this also is a twist and lock. If you don't have this fully seated, twisted all the way in, it's not going to work. Now, the harness is right up here on the passenger side of your transmission. Now, we removed our trans mount, and this car actually had a drive shaft looped on it as well. We took those off just so you can see. You don't have to do that. If you can get your hands up there, you don't have to take that stuff off. Well, this is the plug here. What you're gonna do is basically push up on this and then unplug it. Now, there's an alignment pin on this that's going to face down when you put it up into place. Like I said, make sure this is locked in. Okay, and the other side of this harness, go to the factory plug. And again, make sure that is fully seated. The tab locks. And now we can fish the wire to the interior. Okay, now we're going to fish the wiring harness up into the engine bay. Make sure we zip tie everything carefully out of the way. Follow the silver harness over the transmission. We'll get the harness up in the engine bay and then go up there and fish it through. All right, I'm going to reach down and attempt to find the wire. There we go. Fish that up and then fish it over the passenger side. And zip tie it safely in place. Now what we're going to do is fish that harness over. Then over here on the driver's side, this plug here is basically for a stick shift car. Since it's an automatic, we're just going to put a hole in the middle. Open that up and put the harness right through there. Now grab the actual LaunchMAX processor, plug it in, and screw it down. Okay, now we're going to hide the wiring under the dash and take this additional harness here, fish it up towards the steering column. Now I leave this plug accessible under the dash, and I would only actually plug in the LaunchMAX when you're planning on using it. But keep this underneath that panel, grab our switch, and plug it in. Now we'll take the supplied switch, got it tightly on our steering wheel. So basically when we're racing, when the car's staged, you hold the button and then release. Now, Brad, thanks for bringing the LaunchMAX out. I mean, the installation is pretty easy. Now, what vehicle is this going to fit? Is it all just 6R80s? Are there other vehicles it's going to work with?
All 6R80s, so primarily Ford Mustang and Ford F-150 truck.
Okay, and obviously people are going to ask, the 10-speed auto is the hot transmission. Do you have one for that yet?
The 10-speed automatic transmission is in development.
Okay.
It's going to be a few months, but it is coming down the pipeline.
Now, with something like this on a car like this, what kind of gains are you going to see? I mean, obviously it's going to be more consistent because you're leaving the same way every time, but it should be quicker too.
Yeah, consistency is going to be the key, but you should expect to see a 0.2 improvement in your 0 to 60 foot time, which equates out to
more down track for sure.
Of course, yes.
Okay, so you guys saw the installation. It's pretty straightforward. I would say 20 minutes to half an hour and be back on the road in no time.